we are going to make a start. So anyone that joins in after this obviously can just have the recording or watch halfway through. I said at the beginning, we've had a lot of people not be able to make it due to being on holiday. Lauren and I were just discussing before, this week seems to be the holiday week. There's a lot of people at the minute away on holiday or going away this week. So we are going to crack on and respect everybody's time before we start. Okay, can everybody hear me okay? Kelly and Paul, if you could put your videos on, that would be great. I don't care if you're in your pajamas or whatever you're doing. Please put your videos on. It's always nice for me to look. Oh, lovely smiley face. Thanks.
There you go. I wasn't sure whether you wanted us to put our videos on or not, but it's probably nicer talking to people than not, right?
So nice, so nice. Do you know what? When it's a big webinar, when we've got like a good couple of hundred people on our webinars, it's still nice to see lovely smiley faces, but especially when it's a smaller smaller masterclass, it's definitely nice. Thank you, Kelly. Nice to see you, my lovely. So I'm going to crack on because we want to maximize the full time that we've had today and respect your time as you've jumped on time, which is always great. So I'm just going to make a start. So welcome to looking to achieve financial freedom in your business. I'm just going to kind of give a little bit of a background to myself, because if you're anything like me, I love learning from, whoever I'm learning from, I like to know their background. I like to know what they've done, what their experience is, and then how I can very much relate that to my business. So I've been in the children's activity industry for over 20 years. I was a gymnast first and foremost, so I was a British champion for 5 years. I did 2 worlds, 2 Europeans. Seems like a lifetime ago now, that really does. And started my first business in this space 20 years ago, which very much looked like gymnastic classes in schools. So very much fast forward 20 years, because I want to get into our training as quick as possible. I very much, you name it, I've done it in this industry. I've built a massive chain of like franchise of schools. At one point, I had over 100 schools in like the London borough, which looking back now sounds like a logistical nightmare. Then we sold that part. We've had village halls, you've had leisure centres, I've had my own facilities, I've opened facilities, I've closed facilities. I've had amazing team members, not so amazing team members, had to make obviously redundancies, you name it, we've done it throughout the curve of over the last 20 years. Gone through recessions, gone through the crazy times of COVID. And I always love to share with you that I'm still in the game. So everything I teach, Gold Medal Business was founded a couple of years ago, after so many people always coming to me and asking me for advice and feedback on how we've built over the last 20 years, how we've overcome obstacles. So Gold Medal Business was founded a couple of years ago, very much to help activity owners just like yourself to very much start, grow and build your business. So we work with people who are fresh, shiny new entrepreneurs who might have like 5 or 10 students in their classes, to people who are really looking to scale, looking to franchise if that's an option for them, looking to duplicate their model. So I like to share that with you, because not only is the experience that I share with you from 20 years ago, it's also very relevant for today as well. So I bring experience from my own authentic experience over the last 20 years, but also what's very much working in today's market, and very much kind of, what worked even like last week, what worked yesterday. Because as we know, it's always evolving. So I like to always share that at the beginning so that you know who you're learning from. So thank you so much, Paul and Kelly, for popping in a little bit so I know where you're at. So you're pretty established entrepreneurs, which is great to hear, and looking for, to an exit plan, looking to start to look at that franchise and see if that's an option for you. Paul, I didn't get your, let me just quickly see what you popped in here. Just 10 years business going well. Paul, just so I can give you, what's your kind of goal at the minute after 10 years? Where do you see your business?
So might sound strange, but I'm pretty happy with where we are at the moment. Yep. So for me, it's always been something where I get a good income out of my business, but really it's a lifestyle business for me. I always wanted the sort of freedom to be able to go and do things like travel and things like that, and which for the most part I've achieved. But I always just like to learn, and so when I saw this webinar come up, I was like, looks like you've done some great things with your business, and at some point I will need an exit strategy out of the business, and so definitely sort of more towards that way of thinking at the moment.
Excellent, cool. So yeah, because I know Callie wants an exit strategy. She said that, so it's always good. And that's nice when it's a small when it is a small webinar. I can ask you questions like this, which is nice. Super cool. So thank you so much for sharing. So as I said, today we're going to go through very much kind of 6 main points on very much how to create financial freedom in your business. So this might look, it's going to look very different to everybody because financial freedom looks different to all of us. And, you know, some of it's going to relate, some of it's not going to relate, depending where you're at in your business. But especially if you're, you know, it's really nice if you're brand spanking new to your business. It's really nice to listen to a webinar like this because you can start to tailor your business to where you want it to go. I really wish some of the advice and feedback that I give now to people, I wish I'd known that. Obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? I wish I'd known that when I very first started, because I could have condensed 20 years of experience into 10, without a doubt. I look back now, but again, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and technology in the world has changed a lot since I started in 2008. So basically, we're going to be covering today. We're going to start with what does freedom, first of all, actually look like to you? So I want you to have a little think about, Paul just mentioned lifestyle business, which is awesome. And we're going to cover this to start with, because if you don't know what freedom actually looks like to you, it's like getting in the car, driving to Scotland without a map and not having a clue, without your sat nav on, without having a clue where you're going. So we all, you know, you see on social media, especially financial freedom, freedom this, freedom that, just thrown around the place, create passive income. But what actually does it mean for you? Because it's going to mean something different for everybody. And if you're not really connected to what that actually means to you, like Paul just mentioned, travel. So if you're wanting to travel more, that's really important to you, and what freedom starts to look like. Freedom looks super different to all of us. So first of all, I want you just to scribble down, and I want you throughout our training today to, you know, have your notebook in front of you, write just the odd words. I don't want you to be writing down every word that I say. I want you to be present. I want you to be taking notes, but just literally write down things that resonate with you. So first of all, when we're looking at what does freedom actually look like, I want you to ask, what is freedom to you? Why is it important? Why do you want freedom in your business? It may be, as I said, it's different for everybody. You may have young children. I've got young children. I'm about to give birth any day. If I stood up, you'd be amazed. I've got 2 weeks left. So I'm about to have my 3rd child. Freedom to us is being able to live, you know, live with our children with complete and utter flexibility. Being able to, I've just dropped the children off at school. I pick them up every day. Being able to be there for, we've got sports day this afternoon. Being able to know that I run my own schedule. And, you know, if there's something coming up, 1 o'clock, Katie, is sports day on the 6th, yep, I'll be there. Not to think, I've got to move things around. I've got to ask a boss. I've got to ask something. So for us, freedom for that is complete flexibility around family life. In time, travel, definitely, Paul. I would love, but at the minute, that is our flexibility. So where are you in your lifestyle at the moment? So your lifestyle is going to look very different. How does it fit with your family? Is it travel? Do you want to be able to live anywhere you want within the UK, within the world? What does that look? Are there any particular countries that you thought, do you know, I'd absolutely love to live there for a year, 2 years. I'd love to experience the culture. I'd love to experience the people. Maybe you're from a particular country and you want to go back to your family, but you're thinking, how can that work with my business? I work with many people who have businesses in different countries, but they live here, or vice versa. I work with someone who lives in Bali and has a big franchise operation in the UK. So it's totally doable, 100% totally doable. And all of the points I'm going to share with you today is starting to get the ball rolling, to get the inspiration flowing, so that you can very much start to design, because that's the word I want you to think about today. It's about designing. It's all achievable, but you have to design the right business to give you the financial freedom and the freedom that you want in your business. Like anything, if you go through it and just think, yeah, like a goal, like a target, and you're thinking, yeah, I'd like, 1,000 students within my business, but you're not actually doing anything daily to get there. It's exactly the same with creating financial freedom, creating freedom in your business. It has to be a mindset and it has to be a target that you're working to achieve. So number one today, big point. I just want you to really start thinking, what does freedom look like? Delve into it, get creative, get a vision board. I love a vision board. Get pictures. What inspires you? Because what inspires you doesn't inspire somebody else. So you're making sure you're covering aspects like your lifestyle, your family, your travel. What does it look like that you want to start to create? So once we know what actually freedom looks like for you, we can now move on to actually how to create the right model for you. So number 2 today, and I'm going to break this down right into sections for you, so you've got clear 6 points. Number 2 is how to create the right model for you. Like I shared at the beginning, I really wish I had learned this 20 years ago and really started to look deep into what was the right model that I actually wanted to create from early doors. Because a lot of my journey and even though it's so much experience now that I can share with you guys, I really wish when I look back that I didn't, for me, that going into the school model and developing out the school model, yes, it was great cash flow. Yes, it was great experience, but it wasn't the direction that I wanted to go in. And I can see, but again, it was a really good, and I always want to share this with you, it's a stepping stone to where you are now. So even though it may not have been the direction you wanted to go, and you look back now and think, oh, wish I hadn't done that, it's never wasted time. Because one of my mentors told me this about 5 years ago, and it's always stuck with me. For your leadership and your personal development at that time, that was the right decision for you to make. When you then think 5-10 years down the line, you think, why did I make that stupid mistake? Why did I make that decision? It's because you've now grown as a leader, you've grown as a business owner, you've grown in your personal development. So never look back and think, I wish I'd never done that, because that got you to here. So all your experience is totally relevant. So when you're looking at creating the right model for you, I want you to look at your freedom. So I want you to look at what you've written down in terms of what does your freedom actually look like. So think about what we've just done and think about what have you written down for your lifestyle? What have you written down to fit in with your family? What have you written down in terms of travel? And the reason why, if you're looking at, so I work with someone in education and they have a bit of a franchise model, but they're still a main part of the organization. And they go around to children's schools and deliver speeches. They're like a keynote speaker within their education, within their particular niche that they cover. Now, a lot of it's sport related. They go around and do the education for the children, but that's a speaking model within the children's activity model. Now, if you're wanting, for someone like myself, who I want to be around a lot at home, that wouldn't be the right model for me at this point in time. I do speaking gigs, but I do like one every couple of months. But I don't want to be on the road because I want to be at home for my family. So that is when I start to think of, is it the right model for you with what you've written down that freedom looks like for you? Because it may be, oh, this is great. This is a great business model. But again, you don't want to jump into it and 3-4 years down the line think, I'm not around. This is not really fitting in with what our plan was. I'm having to travel all around the country every couple of days. I'm in a different place in the country delivering these talks. So you want to really think of, is my model fitting in with what freedom actually looks like for you? So I said, really look at your activity. Look at your sports activity. Look at your children's activity. Whether, as I said, it's sport related, whether it's art related, whatever it is in the children's activity space. Look at your activity and think, how is this going to run? Majority of the time in this industry, it's class-based. So it's either in schools, it's normally in village halls, it's normally in leisure centres, or it's within your own facility. Now, all the time, so my first business in this space was gymnastic gyms, still is today. I have many, many different gyms and have different experience in from gyms related to classes in village halls to, I said, schools, leisure centres. We've done all of that. So my model was very much equipment based. So I knew from the very start that having permanent facilities was definitely something that we wanted to achieve, because quite frankly, it makes life a lot easier when you've got loads of equipment to get out. And that is how it gradually over the years, our model has refined and refined and refined. So it's not that our model didn't work in schools and village halls, because it did. We were very successful in that. But as a long-term vision in terms of team, everything in one place, being able to deliver the best to our clients, the best equipment, the best from a health and safety standpoint, we knew permanent premises was the way forwards for us. Hence why we started condensing it into our own buildings. And we now don't work with any leisure centres, anything that's where our stuff has to come out and in. It's all permanent standing. But your model may be completely different. So let's say you may have a model that is, I work with someone who's in the science space, who delivers science classes to schools. Now, they literally go in with a big bag and a trolley. I said, do you have a lab coat? She said she doesn't have a lab coat, but she literally goes in with her stuff. And her model is perfect for a kind of village hall setting and schools, because her equipment is limited. Same with dancing and studios. So often people think, I need the fancy overheads. I need the shop front. I need my name above the door. Yes, that's all bells and whistles, and it is lovely. It is amazing. But you don't always need that to be successful. I've seen many, many people who have built really good businesses in village halls that are bigger than people who actually have their own studios. So I want you to get really clear is when you're creating the right model for you, looking at what does your business actually need to run efficiently, not what you would like. Because so often we create a business from our head on, oh, that will look lovely. Can you imagine a beautiful, beautiful studio with 3 different studios, shiny floor, lovely mirrors? Do you need those overheads? Do you need that to create the business that you want to start creating? So really have a good look at, and I said, most businesses in this industry do not often need, I work with someone in basketball. They are wanting their own academy at some point, but their business is thriving in village halls and leisure centres, because they just need to have, they just literally need to have a hall space. They do it for preschoolers. So they often bring their own nets and their own basketball court, basketball settings and drills and skills, and basically bring up all the little bits of equipment that they need. So getting really, really crystal clear on what is the right model for you, and is it the right model that you can grow and you can start to scale? Because I see time and time again, and this is not related to the children's activity market just, but many businesses can grow, not many can scale. And that took, when I heard that about 7-8 years ago, it took a while to land. I thought, because in this industry as a whole, it's so easy just to whack on another class, isn't it? Oh, we'll just whack on another class. Oh, we can, someone wants us to set up 20 minutes down the road in their postcode. Not a problem. Yes, we can do that. I need to find a hall. I need to find a team, and I can grow it. Not a problem. You could, and that was one of the issues I faced early on. We had stuff everywhere. And I look back now and think, what a mess. It worked. It did work. Could I scale it? No. Did it get to a point where it was causing me massive headache? And I remember when I had my firstborn 8 years ago, I was like, this has got to change. Katie can't be the cheerleader and the support everywhere these days. This isn't scaling. It's got to scale without me. Hence why we started scaling back and looking at, yes, I can grow this business with my eyes closed, but I can't scale it. So always be looking at, you're wanting to have that vision of how to scale. And we're going to move on to that now. So number 3, how to ensure your business is scalable. So once you've got really comfortable in what does freedom actually look like for you? What does freedom look like in terms of time, financially? How's it fitting in with your lifestyle? We're now then moving on to how to create the right model for you, because you want to make sure your right model is going to fit with what your long-term vision of your freedom looks like. We now want to make sure it's scalable. So as I've just shared, you're wanting to make sure what you're doing, you can just grow and grow and grow and grow without, and then that turns into where you start to feel like, what's my exit plan? How do I get out of this? And that's how sometimes I know for sure I felt I spent a good 5 or 6 years, and we're now coming back out of this into much bigger growth. But I spent a good 5 or 6 years redoing the business, almost closing things down, regrowing in the right way that we wanted to scale, that creating something that actually then can scale. So if you're at that point and you're thinking, I know that I've created a great business, it's not really what I wanted to create. Yes, it's still functioning well. It's maybe really good cash flow for you. It's giving you a good salary. Don't ever be afraid to think, but this isn't where I want to go. Don't carry on with something just because it's working now, if it's not part of your long-term vision. That was one of the hardest things that I found as an entrepreneur, is to make those decisions. And I never forget my other half saying to me, and this was prior COVID, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, when we were making some really big changes in the business. And he said to me, you know what to do, Katie. He said, you need to make decisions with your head, not your heart. And it was so easy for him to say it because he's in the business, because he feels it from me every day, but he's also out the business. And I said, there were things that I had to massively shut down. I was almost doing this to my business. We were going to making it 5 times smaller than it was. And at the time, it was really hard. I felt like I'd failed. I felt like I was shutting down things that I'd put a lot of work into. And I was almost like, well, what was the point of that? I went through a lot of those sort of thoughts and feelings over the last couple of years. And then when COVID hit, it turned out we'd made the best decisions, because that was all, we'd condensed the business right down prior to COVID hitting. But my point in sharing this with you is never be afraid to rechange your model, to look at thinking, Kate, this is great what I've achieved so far over the last 10, 15 years. But it's great. Look what I've achieved. Give yourself a massive pat on the back. But what does the next 20 years look like? So always don't be afraid to make changes, to close venues. I remember closing a venue that had 350 children in it. It was heartbreaking at the time. It was heartbreaking. But it was run out of a village hall. We had constant issues with the hall, the cleanliness, the equipment getting damaged. And by the time I actually worked out what our profit margins were from that, by the time I'd paid the whole team VAT and that, I was like, do you know, we're not actually losing that much each month. It was more my ego and thinking, well, I don't want to shut it down. But now, moving 6 years on, we are scaling faster than we've ever done because we'd made all those changes. But at the time, it was incredibly hard, because you don't want to close down what you've currently worked on. So when we're looking at this point, number 3, and how to ensure your business is scalable, always make sure that, as I said, when you've gone through what does freedom look like for you, is it the right model? Never be afraid to start making changes to your business model. But you are the entrepreneur. You are the leader of your business. Don't let anybody else tell you. Get advice, but you're making decision. If your business is not working for you, then what's the point? I had a chat with someone yesterday, and they'd been in business for sort of 10 years plus, and they weren't making money. They weren't taking a salary from the business yet. And I just wanted to cry. I wanted to hug them. I literally was like hurting on the phone. I could feel my heart hurting. Because I said, why? You're building a business. If you take you out of the business doesn't run. You wouldn't go and work for someone for free for 10 years. So why are you doing that to yourself and your business? And I hear this again and again in this industry. And as I said, one of the whole reasons I started Gold Medal Business in the first place, because I was like, it's that mindset piece of, what's the point of growing and scaling something? What's the point of even building a business if you're not benefiting? You might not benefit in the first couple of years, but after 10 years, especially, you should be pulling a substantial salary, something that's going to work for you, and looking at the bigger vision. So making sure your business is scalable, when you're thinking of those, so never be afraid to pivot your business, never be afraid to make changes in your business. And I want you to ask yourself a few questions. I want you to ask, everything in your business, can someone else do this? So I want you to look at all the jobs in your business, break them down. What do you do on a day-to-day basis? Can someone else do them? 99% of the time, someone else can. It's just that you're holding the reins too tight and you're scared that they're going to mess it up. But most of the time, somebody always can do your particular position. You have to free up for you to start growing, for you to start scaling, for you to create the freedom that you want. You have to get comfortable with building a team. You can't bottleneck your business and hold it like, and squeeze all the love and life out of it, because you don't want to let anybody take over the lead. If you want to create that freedom, you have to get super comfortable with building what's that going to look like in your business. I then want you to have a look at, and we come across this quite a lot in this industry, I then want you to have a look at, I'm all up for niche. I'm all up for providing a service that no one else does and is particularly niched. But I want you to have a look, and I'm going to give you an example. At one of my gyms, we were going to create circus school classes. We'd had a little bit of a demand for it, not loads. So I thought, okay, let's research this. Let's explore this. So I did a bit of a research and on Indeed, just for jobs out there, for people looking for circus skilled jobs. Now, the people that came up, I mean, I think there was literally one or two, and that was on Indeed. And obviously it's all of the UK. And I think one or two people were looking for circus skilled jobs. Now, even though I could see a niche there, and I thought, yes, you could absolutely add on a couple of classes into our programming, but can that really scale? Is there a big enough demand? And so often, we often hear, I can't get the staff, I can't get the team. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's too niched. You're looking for too much, a particular qualification that not many people have got. And you're trying to scale that. And you're wanting to see how you can train instructors, how you can train them in-house, how you can roll that out. Because the fastest way that you're going to scale your business when you're from a team aspect is when you can train them in-house with your own programs. And if they have to have a governing body qualification to go with that, that's an extra to what you're already doing on top. But don't make your service, even though it can feel so good when you think no one else is doing this, no one else is doing this, that is great. But if you can't staff it and you can only got a few very select people that can teach it, that's not going to be scalable. So always think that whenever you're thinking of a new program, when you're thinking of a new subject, something else to teach, something to add into your syllabus, always think, okay, this is a good idea, but is it going to scale? It might grow, but is it going to scale? And most importantly, does it fit with the model that you're creating to give you the freedom? I want you to get to a point in your business where you say no more times than you say yes. So I have opportunities come to me all day long. Can you operate in this school? Can you mentor this person? Can you open up in this area? And I'll be honest, 99% of the time, I'm like, no. Because if it doesn't fit with what we're creating, it's a no. 10 years ago, I'd have been a yes girl. Yes, 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 yes. And that's how you end up with something you don't want to actually create. Yes is, again, you're not just saying yes for the cash flow. Always look at, it might be, and you may do it at the very beginning of your business, you will do for cash flow. But once you're good, 8+ years in, you want to be saying yes to the only things that fit with your vision. So if it's not on the plan for this year and someone approaches you about a new object, a new program, a new opportunity, thank them for the opportunity and say, look, it's not on my vision for this year. It's not actually on the vision for 2024. Let me get back. I'll keep it in mind. I'll get back to you in the future. Because that's the biggest thing when you'll see yourself divert when shiny object syndrome, we've all heard of that as entrepreneurs, when suddenly you say yes to things and then a couple of years down the line, you're in a whole nother direction. You think, why am I here? And it's because we've all done it. You don't want to say, naturally, as entrepreneurs, we don't want to say no to things. We've got loads of ideas. That's part of our nature. But it can also, it's definitely done for me, slowed my progress down and taken me in different directions at times. So always making sure that it's in line with your model, with what you're wanting to create. So number 4, I hope you're all with us, all still with us, guys. We've had a few new people jumping on, so welcome. So number 4, what do you need in place to create freedom? So we've now looked at what freedom looks like for you, creating the right model for you to make sure it's in line with your freedom, making sure your business is scalable to create that freedom. Now, what do you need in place to create that freedom? So I want you to look at your day-to-day, be really honest, and I suggest take a week. So I suggest do this from next week, Monday to Friday. And I want you to look at Monday to Friday and literally write down, it's a bit of a brain ache when you do it to start with, but it will be an eye-opener by the end of the week. I literally want you to write down every activity that you do in your business. Every single thing. Teach a class, upload social media, have a staff meeting, write out the cover list for the summer holidays, whatever it is. Write it all down, every single thing that you do in your business. At the end of the week, I want you to then circle the top ones that have taken you the most time that somebody else could do in your business. So you're going to start to prepare your business that can run with you, but without you. So one of our main missions at Gold Medal is to really help you transition from you, the business owner, to you, the CEO, to you building an empire. Basically being, when you're the business owner, you're hands-on, you're in the business day to day. Then you transition and graduate to a CEO. When you're a CEO, that is when the business is running with you, but without you. So if you went on holiday for a month or a couple of weeks, the business is going to run completely without you. When you're at that point, you know you're ready to start really scaling the business, really starting to focus on that franchise. Because again, what I see, and lessons learned myself, I see people trying to scale a business way beyond before they're ready. They're trying to scale, they're trying to franchise a model when they're still in the day-to-day, every single day, and then realize why the franchise isn't working. Because I'm like, do you realize when you're building, when you're scaling and you're duplicating premises or you're franchising, that's a brand new business. Franchise is a brand new business. It's not just a little arm off the edge of your business. So you think, I'll give that a bit of attention next week. No. If you want to build a franchise that actually works, it's a brand spanking, shiny new business. Almost like you've just gone and opened a coffee shop at the end of the road. It's a brand new business, completely different. Building a franchise, yes, there's elements that are all going to cross over, but building a franchise is very different to building your day-to-day business. So you don't, even if you're at that stage, and you're thinking, I think I'm ready to scale, always ask yourself, are you out of your business on a day-to-day basis? Basically, if you went away for a month, your business can run without you, and you know your team are all confident, and you don't have to look at your phone every 5 seconds. You might get one question here and there, but when you know that you can completely leave your business, you know your business is completely scalable. So have a look at your day-to-day, and then once you've looked at your day-to-day, you're then going to circle, so the areas that you think, start to delegate out that now. Or you might look at it and think, okay, not ready for that. We're going to first, and we're going to then delegate out. We're then going to delegate out that particular thing in 6 months' time. But we're going to focus on this particular area to start with. I've got a client who, and this was a really good, when she started working with me 5 months ago, we had this conversation yesterday. So I was like, I must share, because it's fresh in my head. I must share this example with you. She runs a dance school, and she's got a business in Scotland and a business in Devon. Now, when she first started working with me, she literally had 0 white space. She was stressed to the nines. She had a good, substantial business, been running, I think, 12 years, and a good business, but she was stressed. Her team always seemed to need her. She was like, my weeks just flow into each other. I try to delegate something out and it doesn't work. And she said, I really need to make these changes because in May, I'm opening a new studio in Devon. And I said to her, wow, that's interesting. I said, so you're not going to be anywhere near that studio because you're in Scotland? And she said, yes. So I need to work out how to grow a remote studio within the next couple of months. But first of all, I need to sort out where I'm currently at. So my Scottish team can run this without me. So I can then duplicate the same model in Devon. Anyway, to cut a long story short, we've now completely decreased, sorted out the whole of our back end business. And basically 4 to 5 months on, she has a lot more white space in her business. Her Scottish business is running very smoothly. But the best part is her Devon business is starting to boom. It's been open 6 to 8 weeks. Numbers are growing. But the best part is her team are running it without her, as she has been to Devon once. And I said, that is amazing. That is so amazing, because she's duplicated everything she suddenly put into her Scottish business into her Devon branch. And she's literally going down there this weekend for an open day. So that'll be her second time of going to this particular branch. And she actually said, and I knew this would happen, but she actually said, growing the Devon branch has been far easier because of her knowledge now, but has been far easier than delegating stuff in her Scottish branches, because the Devon staff never knew any different. So they've never had her by their side. They've never known to ask her every question because she's not around. So naturally they think on their feet and they're like, okay, yeah, well, I can ask her at the end of the week when we have our meeting, but I think this is what we need to do now. And she said they're delegating and they're actually growing as a team quicker. So to share that example with you, whether said you're brand new or you're very established or you're looking at opening a few new classes, wherever you're at, know that you can still create that freedom in your business, whether you've got an established team who seem to rely on you for absolutely everything, or you've got something that's brand new and starting. It's always easier to do it when it's brand new because no one knows any different. It is always easier. And you will find naturally with current staff that have always been used to you being there. They're always used to you being there. They're always used to you like being, oh, can I ask you a question? Can I just do this? They're always used to that. So it's just retraining them. It's just them thinking it in a different way. So as we move on, so that is number 4, is really looking at what do you need in place to create your freedom. And it's all to do with getting yourself slowly but surely out of the day-to-day. Now we move on to, which is super related to number 4, which is all about your team. So when you've done the exercise just now on how to build out your day-to-day, so really looking at your week, writing down every exercise that you do, working out, circling who can do this, who cannot do this, where you need to focus first, who are you going to delegate first out to, brings us really nicely into your team. So when you're doing this, for you to create the freedom and lifestyle that you desire, you need to start building a very strong team that is not relying on you on a day-to-day basis. So I want you to just position, have a little look, do like a spider diagram and do a bit of a brainstorm on what do you want your team to look like? What does it look like in a year's time? Have you got someone who's completely in charge of administration? Have you got someone who's in completely charge of all your sales? Do you have a full coaching team so that you can now step out of teaching and start to grow the business? Do you have a marketing team? All of these positions do not have to be full-time. Our marketing within my gyms, our marketing team is part-time. So when you're creating these positions, don't think in your head, oh my God, it's like a 40,000 a year salary. They're going to be PAYE. And for you talked yourself out of it because it's going to be too expensive. There are so many different options, freelancers, part-time members of staff that you can get, that it doesn't have to be a full-time position. Our marketing team is all in the Philippines. I have a marketing team that grows our social media, that does all our Facebook ads. I have a strong virtual assistant team that literally save my ass every single day. They're amazing. They do like 9 to 3 every day. I've got 2 amazing girls from 9 to 3 that work for me and have done for the last couple of years, who take so much off my shoulders and weight, so I can actually focus on the main things that are going to help us grow, not the day-to-day crap that you just find yourself doing. So always think it doesn't have to be a full-time position, someone sitting at a desk in your office. There are so many ways to get freelancers out there. People Per Hour, a great site to look at. There's a great online site for the Philippines, which is online.ph. That's a great one. We use that a lot. You do have to pay for that one though. You've got Fiverr, you know, any little task like tweaking websites, tweaking a landing page, tweaking your program, designing, you know, you've designed the lovely program for the summer term. Now it needs to look pretty. We now need to upload that, make it all look good. Okay. So all of that doesn't have to always be you, and doesn't have to be expensive. So many times I see people taking that step back and not wanting to delegate because they're scared of how much it's going to cost. Start small. My virtual assistant and my team in the Philippines that I was just sharing, they started with me 3 years ago on 2 hours a week. They're now doing about 80 hours a week for me, because as we've grown, and I know how good they are and efficient they are, but it grows with time. So always think there's always a solution. There's always an option. And it doesn't have to be big fat salaries that you're employing for. So when you're looking at your team, what do you want your team to look like in the next 12 months? What are the positions that you're wanting to create? Obviously, your teachers that you're recruiting cannot live in the Philippines. You're going to need them to turn up unless it's virtual. So there's an element where you're recruiting locally, and you can then recruit globally as well. So really get defined on what staff members do you want in your business that can actually take the pressure off you, so that you can actually focus on the right things of your business, rather than feeling like you're stretched in 100 different, you know, that you're stretching 100 different directions. Okay. So as we've done number 5, I want you to now think about our last point that we're going to cover today, guys, is now we've covered very much, we've, you know, over our last kind of like 5 points, we've looked at what freedom looks like, how to create the right model for you, how to ensure your business is scalable, what do you need in place to create that freedom, what does your team actually look like to create that freedom. And now I want you to look and think, what is actually, so I want you to start seeing what is actually possible for you to achieve. So now we've broken down those points. I really hope as we come to the end today, I really hope you start to see actually what is possible for you to achieve in starting to get some financial freedom, to get the freedom that you want from your children's activity business. You don't have to be always teaching. You don't have to be glued to every class. You don't have to be delivering every service, every class, every email, picking up every phone call. So really looking at it is possible for you to achieve. And I want you to look at what we've just covered over the last hour together. Look at what we've covered in what is actually possible for you. What does it now look like from when you started at the beginning of this webinar to maybe your thought process and maybe some planning? We're all at different stages of a business. So, you know, you may have done some thought process on this already. But if you're not planning for it and you're not creating a business that can enable you to have that freedom and have that travel, just like anything, and I said this right at the beginning, it's just like planning every other aspect of your business. It's like planning your financials, it's planning your team, it's planning student numbers. What does that look like? So you should be planning an exit strategy, planning what freedom looks like, planning what this business going to actually give you in the next 5 to 10 years. Because you are the entrepreneur. You drive your business in the right direction. You haven't just brought yourself a job, which many entrepreneurs, especially in the first 5, 10 years, actually do. You're a business owner. Your main skill in your business is to create opportunities for others and to grow your service, to benefit more children, You know, what is your mission? What is your values? Why did you start this business in the first place? The smaller you keep your business, the less opportunity there is within your business, the less you're impacting the children that you're wanting to impact. So the bigger opportunities you can create, the bigger service that you're giving. It's a little bit like, sometimes people say to me, I'm getting some great people coming into my company, but I can't keep them because we are a small company. Now, I've had some amazing people come through my businesses over the years. And I've got a couple at the minute that are phenomenal. They are fantastic. And I know without a doubt that if I don't continue to grow, continue to build my leadership, continue to build my development, and to create more opportunities for them, they're the kind of individuals that wouldn't stay around because they're going to get bored. And that's, if you want to attract that kind of caliber into your organization, and the right, you know, fast driven, motivated, they're wanting to make a difference, you need to be on top of your game and always be forward thinking on thinking, how can I create more opportunities for them? Where can I upgrade them? Where can I promote them? So that they stay with you. But when you're not working on, you can almost work on this at the same time, because when you're working on what freedom looks like for you, generally within that, like we've shared, you're going to start delegating out a lot more. Therefore, more opportunities are going to come their way as well, because you're starting to delegate out more. For you to build that franchise you're wanting, you need someone to run the whole operation that you're currently doing. Who's going to take over your role? Because you now need to go and build something else. And never be afraid of thinking, you know, that person may take your salary. If you want to keep that kind of caliber, that person may take you a part of your salary to be able for you to transition away from that. For the first couple of months, it will be a bit rocky as you make that transition. But never think of, well, it's a waste of money. They're taking that part of my salary. You may have to dip a bit in what you're taking, but look at what you can create.